Hey everyone, Kyle Walker here. If you love cars, fixing things, or just want to understand your vehicle better, you're in the right place. I share hands-on tips, smart driving advice, and straight-up car talk without the fluff. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and stick around till the end. You don't want to miss what's coming up. Let's get into it.
No one will argue with the fact that very often accidents and various accidents occur precisely because drivers exceed the speed limit. But it is one thing when it comes to exceeding a few kilometers per hour, and quite another when the car literally rushes on the sections, where it is not allowed to go even faster than 40 kilometers per hour. Many modern passenger cars with impressive power and a high top speed are artificially limited in their top speed by so-called electronic collars. But here we are usually talking about a limit of 250 kilometers per hour. The situation is completely different with cargo vehicles, which are designed for the transportation of various dangerous goods and commodities. It is for them that speed-limiting devices are created. This equipment must comply with certain requirements, norms, and standards, which allows the operation of such vehicles in international cargo transportation. What it is? From the name, it is already obvious that the main task of speed limiters on cars is to limit the maximum permissible speed with which the vehicle can move on public roads. Speed limiting devices, SLD, can be characterized as control equipment that regulates the fuel supply to the internal combustion engine installed on the vehicle. This is what allows the device to limit the speed at which the truck is traveling. Regulation can be accomplished in one of two ways, by means of a solenoid fuel valve. This solution is used on trucks that are equipped with a standard mechanical accelerator pedal. With the accelerometer pedal, this is a slightly different principle of adjustment relevant for other types of trucks, where the gas pedal of the electronic type is used. Extremely useful equipment, created to ensure safety during the movement of certain types of vehicles, which are subject to mandatory requirements for the installation of EDS. Scheme of operation. Based on the above, there is a legitimate question about how the speed limiter works on cars, and due to what it performs its functions. In fact, the device works according to a relatively simple algorithm. It looks as follows. The speed limiter includes a special control unit, which is connected to the standard automobile system for determining the current speed. The OEM system continuously transmits special impulses to the electronic control unit of the limiter, which allows controlling the current parameters. When the vehicle reaches a critical speed, the electronic control unit starts transmitting a signal to the solenoid valve. This valve is responsible for controlling the fuel supply to the combustion chambers. Due to these signals, the operation of the solenoid valve is changed, and it allows less fuel to pass through. Such actions contribute to a reduction in the volume of fuel supplied and a drop in vehicle speed. When the electronic control unit detects that the speed has fallen below a critical point, the transmission of signals to the solenoid valve stops. The fuel system begins normal operation. As necessary, this cycle is repeated when the driver again crosses the boundary of the permissible maximum speed. Other actuators can also be used in the operation of the speed limiter. Quite often, the electronic control function of the power unit is used. When the control unit receives a signal that the permissible speed has been exceeded, it switches the engine to idle speed operation. In this way, the power unit continues to idle until the speed returns to normal. As for the critical speed parameters, they are determined individually. For each case, and for cargo transportation in certain countries, different limits are set. In most cases, we are talking about values of about 80 to 90 kilometers per hour. In order to set the set value of the critical vehicle speed, the limiter undergoes a calibration procedure. Each EDS can be calibrated for different values, i.e., they can be reconfigured to adapt to new operating conditions. After all, in one situation you can move at a speed of about 90 kilometers per hour, and in another critical value will be already 70 kilometers per hour. In order not to change each time the equipment itself, installed and connected to the vehicle, it is possible to calibrate the speed values at which the EOS will be automatically switched on which vehicles it is installed. The issue regarding the installation of speed limiters is regulated by the ANIS regulations, as well as ADR regulations. According to these regulations, vehicles of certain categories must be equipped with a speed limiter. This applies to vehicles with a maximum mass of more than 3,500 kilograms or 3.5 tons. Read also whether you can use the gear instead of the handbrake and how to do it correctly at the same time. All limiters are adjusted to parameters that do not allow vehicles to exceed the permissible speed above the 90 kilometers per hour mark. The requirement applies to all vehicles of categories N2 and N3. It does not matter when the vehicles were manufactured and under what conditions they are operated. All requirements are the same for vehicles traveling on urban, suburban, and intercity routes. A speed limiting device is installed in the following cases: on passenger buses that are designed to transport children in organized groups aged 6 to 16 years. In this case, the factory design speed of such vehicles must exceed the mark of 60 kilometers per hour. It is also a mandatory condition for the installation of OS on passenger buses to be put into operation not earlier than September 2010. For vehicles that fall into the AT, OX, FL, EX/2 and EX/3 categories. These are trucks designed for the transportation of dangerous goods. At the same time, all such vehicles are obligatorily equipped with speed limiters. In this situation, it does not matter what their maximum weight is, as well as in what year these vehicles were manufactured. For other trucks that transport dangerous goods without special permits, including, but not limited to, by packing, bulk, or piling methods. But there are several conditions that must be met in order to be equipped with an EMS. For starters, the mass of such vehicles must exceed 12 tons, and the first registration must be dated no earlier than December 31st, 1987. Or the maximum mass is more than 3.5 tons, then the registration of the vehicle was first carried out after December 31st, 2007. The OCS has a universal design, which allows the device to be incorporated into virtually any vehicle. For this reason, the limiter is used with equal success in modern vehicles equipped with electronic powertrain control systems, as well as in rather outdated vehicles with virtually no electronics. This includes vehicles equipped with carbureted power units. US in the presence of FOS. Quite a few questions arise as to whether a speed limiter must be installed on a motor vehicle if the design already has a built-in speed limiter function, SLF, from the factory. According to current regulations, all vehicles with a maximum weight exceeding 3,500 kilograms must be equipped with a separate speed limiter. This applies even to those vehicles where the manufacturer has included a built-in speed limiter. When transporting dangerous goods or passengers, ADR and ECE require the installation of a speed monitoring and speed limiting device. In order to obtain a permit, ADR stipulates that the presence of a speed limiter is not a reason for not having an EMS. That is, a separate speed limiter is required even in situations where there is a built-in speed limiting function. There is one more important point that concerns the installation of the BDS. It refers to the maximum speed according to the technical specifications in the vehicle's datasheet. Even if this parameter does not exceed 90 kilometers per hour, it is still necessary to install a limiter. The explanation is quite simple. Current legislation and ADR regulations do not provide otherwise. It is this fact that often provokes certain problems in the traffic police when a carrier is faced with the need to issue ADR. Companies are refused to issue a certificate because there are no speed limiting devices on their vehicles. And this is more than a legitimate action on the part of traffic police officers. Therefore, it is required to fulfill the conditions for obtaining ADR, that is, to provide for the installation of speed control systems on their vehicles. Otherwise, the company or trucking company will not be able to obtain a permit for the transportation of dangerous goods. This requirement must be complied with by all those who fall under the relevant categories of vehicles, the operation of which is inadmissible without an EMS. By signing the European Agreement, each member country assumes the obligation to follow the rules of international road transportation of goods and passengers. If dangerous goods or passengers are being transported, ADR requires the use of a speed control device. This speed limiter reduces accidents and improves overall safety on public roads. Speed limits. ADR regulations stipulate certain speed limits for vehicles intended for the transportation of dangerous goods and children. When it comes to the delivery of dangerous goods, the limit is set at 90 kilometers per hour. At the same time, a traffic police officer can issue a fine even in a situation where the speed is not exceeded, but the vehicle does not have a control system. Read also, what are the main differences, advantages, and disadvantages of run-flat tires? As for the transportation of children, here the requirements are more stringent. In the absence of a limiter provides not a fine, but the imposition of a ban on further operation of the vehicle. As for the speed limit, it is in this situation is 60 kilometers per hour. Documents. The carrier cannot simply install a speed limiting device. The relevant design changes must be documented. In accordance with the technical regulations, the OCS must be included in the vehicle's technical data sheet. If the control system has been provided for from the factory, the manufacturer is obliged to enter the corresponding markings. If the vehicle owner installs the system himself, i.e., makes certain changes to the vehicle design, a special document is required. The installation of the BDS provides for mandatory sealing of the equipment, which is performed by the installer. It is not allowed to use restrictors that have not been certified and do not have the appropriate authorization documents. Therefore, the list of companies that are engaged in the manufacture and installation of BDS on cars is strictly limited. In order to obtain all the necessary certificates and documents, not to worry about the registration of changes in the design of vehicles, it is necessary to apply to trusted companies that have the appropriate permits for such work. After the installation is completed, all necessary accompanying documents will be issued. In addition to the documents, vehicles with a speed limiter must also be provided with special labels confirming that the speed limiter has been installed. This label is supplemented by a sticker showing the maximum permissible speed. The sticker may be placed on any part of the vehicle. Also, the regulations do not provide for the specific content of the sticker, but it must be present and visible to other road users. Therefore, it is often located in the rear part of the vehicle on the left or right side, and sometimes several stickers are provided at once. This is at the discretion of the car owner. The cost of speed limiters and installation. On cars, the installation of a device for speed limitation is provided not only to comply with the requirements of the law, but also to improve safety when traveling. Mandatory installation and proper adjustment provides that certain financial resources need to be invested in the equipment. But when it is installed, the payback period is no more than 3 to 4 months. Savings are achieved by reducing fuel consumption, as well as reducing the risks of possible road accidents. The presence of an EDS allows you to make your driving style more confident, measured, and smooth. As for the cost, much depends on the specific company that supplies and installs this additional equipment. The price is also influenced by the features of the vehicle itself. Several approximate values can be given in this regard. If you just buy a set of equipment, on average it will cost the buyer 13 to 15,000 rubles. But it will still require installation, which is unlikely to be realized with your own hands. It requires special equipment, certain skills and knowledge of the subtleties of installation. If you turn to outside companies, there is a risk of improper installation, as well as increased final costs. Practice shows that the best option is to buy together with installation from one company. For cars equipped with an electronic gas pedal or accelerator pedal, the approximate cost of purchase and installation is 23 to 25,000 rubles. This cost includes a full cycle of work, starting with testing the equipment, ending with its connection and checking in action. Approximately in 26 to 27,000 rubles will cost a set of speed limiter and installation on vehicles equipped with diesel power units. If the car is equipped with a mechanical accelerator pedal, specialists usually charge about 27,000 rubles for the device itself and its installation. The most expensive in terms of equipment are cars with a carburetor engine. This is due to the complexity of installation. Therefore, the price for such cars with installation is about 55,000 rubles. But these are approximate prices, which may vary depending on who is engaged in installation, and on such a vehicle is mounted limiting device. Speed limiters are important, useful, and simply mandatory components of vehicles that carry children or dangerous goods. Their presence is regulated by law, and the absence of equipment on the car threatens fines and other additional sanctions. In conclusion, a vehicle speed limiter is an essential tool for enhancing safety on the roads. By preventing excessive speeds, it not only protects drivers and passengers, but also reduces the risk of accidents and fatalities. Understanding how speed limiters work can empower you to make informed decisions about your vehicle's safety features. Whether you're a fleet manager looking to improve compliance or an individual driver prioritizing safety, investing in a speed limiter is a proactive step towards responsible driving. Remember, safety should always come first, and a speed limiter is a simple yet effective way to ensure that.